My name is Jean-Marie Kananura. I'm the Chief Investment Officer at Rwanda Finance, which is a government agency in charge of promoting and developing Rwanda as an international financial center. So it's a pleasure to welcome you today to this AFSIC Rwanda Country Summit. As you may know, Rwanda's strategic rise as a major player in Africa's investment landscape has positioned KFC as at the forefront of the continent's economic growth. We've just heard in the video, KFC is now ranked number 2 IFC in the sub-Saharan Africa. So this is a testament that what we are doing, that we have been doing, is attractive to investors, and we've seen investors coming and choosing Rwanda as their choice as a jurisdiction. So today our session will have 3 main parts. First part is I'm going to welcome our High Commissioner to the UK to give his opening remarks. We will have a panel discussion with the theme capitalizing on growth and Rwanda's role as a Rwanda's role as Africa rising investment powerhouse. At the end of this session, we want to have this kind of a dynamic and engaging session. So instead of having the traditional Q&A, we will have a table networking session. We will have different parts where we can interact with panelists and ask follow-up questions. So without further ado, I would like to call our High Commissioner to come and give his opening remarks. Thank you.
Esteemed investors, partners, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I am called Businje Johnston. I work at the Rwandan High Commission here in London, and I'm very pleased to welcome you all to this Rwanda Country Summit taking place alongside AFSIC. It is always a privilege to participate in these discussions as we explore opportunities that highlight the strong investment potential in Rwanda and Africa's role in the global economy. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of our distinguished speakers. Their insights, I guess, will be very valuable as we explore the opportunities ahead and Rwanda's place in Africa's financial future. The theme of the summit, capitalizing on growth, Rwanda's role as Africa's rising investment powerhouse, is especially timely as Rwanda continues to emerge as a preferred destination for global investment in Africa, reflecting our focus on good governance, on sound economic policy, and a business-friendly environment that attracts investors worldwide. In 2024, our economy has showed strong progress, with the National Institute of Statistics reporting 9.8% growth in the second quarter, following 9.7% growth in the first quarter, highlighting our country's resilience and consistent economic progress. Our economy is experiencing growth across key sectors, creating numerous investment opportunities. In the ICT, the country is establishing itself as a hub for digital transformation, with the Kigali Innovation City, a $2 billion project that has attracted many technology firms and startups, reinforcing our country's focus on technology and innovation. In tourism, Rwanda's commitment to sustainable practices has made it one of Africa's leading destinations. The agricultural sector, contributing 25% of the GDP, of our GDP, and supporting over 60% of the workforce, is modernizing through targeted investments aimed at increasing productivity and ensuring food security. Our Vision 2050 outlines a plan for the country to become an upper middle income economy by 2035 and a high income economy by 2050. These are pretty ambitious targets that we hope, together with our investors, we will get there. To achieve this vision, we aim to attract local, regional, and international investment, with the Kigali International Financial Center playing a key role in this strategy. Since its establishment in 2020, Kigali International Financial Center has helped advance Rwanda's financial sector and has become a cornerstone of economic diversification. It has positioned Rwanda as a hub for international investment, facilitating cross-border transactions and supporting Africa's economic growth. Kigali International Financial Center is now ranked third best international financial center in Africa and second in sub-Saharan Africa in the latest Global Financial Centers Index. This recognition signals our growing presence in the global financial landscape. Rwanda, as I think most of you know, is located at the heart of Africa and serves as a gateway to the East African community, a regional market of over 300 million people, and to the broader African market through the African Continental Free Trade Area. This strategic location, combined with Rwanda's infrastructure and ease of doing business and political stability, make Rwanda an attractive destination for investors looking to access both regional and continental markets. Through fora like the AFSIC, we aim to connect global capital with African opportunities, with Rwanda serving as a platform for growth. Whether in financial services, infrastructure, technology, or other sectors, Rwanda is open for business, and we invite you to explore the many opportunities available. At this summit, we also aim to strengthen partnerships and to explore new avenues for collaboration. Rwanda is open to co-investment opportunities across various sectors, including infrastructure, technology, and financial services. The Rwanda Social Security Board and the Agaciro Development Fund, our sovereign wealth fund, play key roles in driving these opportunities. Permit me to share some success stories of collaboration with global investors. The $280 million Virunga Africa Fund 1 with anchor investors has anchor investors including the Qatar Investment Authority and the Rwanda Social Security Board The Timbuktu Fund, which aims to invest $1 billion in over 1,000 African startups over the next decade, were launched at this year's World Economic Forum in Davos and are housed in the Kigali International Financial Center. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here today with one clear message. There are many messages, but there is one very clear one. Rwanda is open for business and ready to partner with you. And that is a serious commitment. All you need is to calm down. Whether you are exploring new ventures, seeking collaboration in our growing sectors, or expanding your global presence, Rwanda offers you a stable, dynamic environment for your investment. Our government is very committed and has shown it for 30 years, very committed to supporting you and your investment throughout your journey. I invite you to engage with us today, explore the opportunities in Rwanda, and become part of an exciting growth journey. Together, we can build lasting partnerships that will propel Rwanda and Africa forward. I thank you very much for your kind attention and look forward to continued engagement today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. And I think your message is clear, given the reaction from the audience. Now, allow me to invite my colleague, Liz, to dive into the panel discussion. And Liz will have a pleasure to invite and introduce the panelists. Liz, the floor is yours.
I think I can do without, yeah. So I'm going to call up Philippe Vatrin from our SSB. Also going to call up our next panelist, Saad Sheikh from Enco Capital. Victor Lagesse from Ditos. And Hannah Giltz from Admias Capital Partners. Good. So these are our wonderful panelists today. They're here to share their insights on operating in Rwanda as a part of the investment landscape. And before I get into that, I would just like to interact with the room a little bit, know how many of you have interacted with Rwanda, have been to Rwanda, have businesses in Rwanda. If you could just please put your hands up. Okay.
I think we can already applaud that.
Good. So I think we're really talking to the right audience. And those of you who haven't been to Rwanda, we hope that you interact with us and can visit and do business in Rwanda. So welcome to this panel. Our panel title is Capitalizing on Growth, Rwanda's Role as Africa's Rising Investment Powerhouse. It's a very ambitious title, but we hope to live up to that, to that title. So we have an esteemed panel, each contributing their unique perspectives on how Rwanda is becoming a critical financial hub in Africa and what that means for investors like yourselves. But before we get started, I'd like to give a moment to our panelists to introduce themselves briefly, tell us a little bit about their companies, and how the role that they play in Rwanda's investment landscape. Over to you, Philippe. I'll start with you.
Oh, thanks a lot, Liz. So technology sometimes may default, but we are still there to back it. So hi, Philippe Watrin. So I'm the Chief Investment Officer of the Rwanda Social Security Board. So the Rwanda Social Security Board administers social security in Rwanda. And as a consequence, we collect contributions, I would say, from employers and we invest them so that we can service pension, the medical scheme. We have as well a universal coverage scheme called CBHI, community-based health insurance. And overall, we cover more than 90% of the Rwandan population that has a medical insurance, which is quite remarkable for a sub-Saharan country. So many actually African peers are visiting us for that. So if you don't know about it, we can talk together about it. Just quickly, in terms of asset under management, we are close to $2 billion USD. so which represents around 15% of the Rwandan GDP. So we are quite significant. I would say we are the largest investment fund in Rwanda. And what makes us, I would say, different versus, I would say, other peers in East Africa and even Southern Africa is that we are not just targeting financial returns for our members, but as well socioeconomic impact. As a matter of fact, we have just, I would say, 60% of our asset allocation, which is fixed income. The rest, 40%, is equity and real estate. So, and when I say equity, it's not listed equity, it's like private equity that you have to sweat a bit to get something out of it. So we are really hands-on and really determined to grow the Rwandan economy. And we are so multi-sector, so we are basically looking at anything that can add value to Rwanda. So yeah, this is in a nutshell what we do.
Thank you so much, Philippe. Over to you, Sad. A brief introduction. Tell us a bit more about Enco Capital as well.
Of course, thank you very much. First of all, thank you for having me. This is an absolute honor. What the Honorable Diplomat Ambassador did say resonates with us. What we've seen on the ground is very much the impression that you get in a room like this. Normally, the reality is very different. That's not the case when you go look at Rwanda. But just very quickly, my name is Saad Sheikh. I'm a partner at Enco Capital, which is a Pan-African asset manager. It manages over $800 million of capital across multiple strategies, both liquid and illiquid, starting from a hedge fund down to private equity and private credit. My particular role is mezzanine and private credit within Enco. But in addition to that, and my lens today will be us as an asset manager in Rwanda. So we have got local asset management licenses across the African continent, particularly in 5 jurisdictions, starting from the west in Abidjan, then in Cameroon, very recently in Rwanda. Then we've got one in South Africa and Mauritius. So the idea for us is we want to localize African capital for African growth, starting with very ambitious countries like Rwanda, but then also be a conduit for global capital into Africa. So that's what we stand for, that's what we try to deliver. We've delivered over 15% dollar returns to our investors, and we continue to do that, and that's why we're here.
Great, thank you so much, Saad. Victor, a brief introduction.
Yes, thank you, Liz, and I'd like to say that I'm honored as well to be on that panel. And so I'm Victor Larges from DTES. DTES is a management company from Mauritius, and just recently we've been licensed as a trust and corporate service provider in KFC. And as such, we help investors set up their investment vehicle in KFC.
Good.
Thank you.
Over to you, Hannah.
Sorry, I'll try and stay on my chair.
Yeah.
As my name's Hannah Jilks, it's a pleasure to be here. I am COO of Admeus Capital Partners. We are an African private equity fund. We have a Pan-African mandate, though we of course have strong preferences. So we are headquartered in Kigali, and our fund in Rwanda became operational earlier this year. And I think I'm right in saying that we are the first private equity fund in Rwanda, which is obviously a huge honor.
All right, thank you so much for those brief introductions. And to our room, I would just like to mention that we're not going to do Q&A, and that's a very intentional, we've been very intentional about not having that Q&A because we want to leave most of the time for networking. So right after this session, this panel session, you can walk up to any of these panelists and connect to them directly, as well as other Rwanda-based companies that are in the room. So now to get us started, now that we're all introduced, I'll start with you, Philippe. All right, give me 2 seconds. Yeah, as the Chief Investment Officer at RSSB, you oversee a significant portfolio that contributes to Rwanda's economic development, as you've said. Could you please share with us RSSB's investment strategies and the sectors that you're focusing on to drive further growth? Just to give that context to the room.
Okay, yeah, I will be brief about that. So as I said, we have this specificity that we are not just, I would say, the quiet, if I could say, pension fund in the way we invest. We are, I would say, in between of a sovereign wealth fund and a pension fund, because we try as well to drive socioeconomic growth when we do our investments. So there is always this question of, okay, we have to, of course, make sure that we get the most in terms of returns, but the question is always, how do we contribute to the development of the Rwandan economy, and are we adding up a brick to that, so that we make the best use of our funds. So we are always very intentional on that. In terms of asset allocations, I already discussed about it. So we have a significant part of equity. And in terms of sector, so we are multi-sectoral, but I would say that the largest area we are in are financial services, hospitality, real estate as well. But beyond that, we are as well into manufacturing, agro-processing, technology, forestry. So we are quite diversified. And we are always keen on looking to new opportunities that contribute again to the socioeconomic development of Rwanda.
Thank you so much, Philippe. And to highlight what he said, RSSB is open to partners that can invest in different sectors, the ones that you've mentioned, as long as it fosters the economic development of Rwanda.
I can, yes, even further say on that is that I can give 3 examples. So, for instance, we recently signed SPA with Arise IIP, that is a Pan-African conglomerate on building a plywood factory in Rwanda, so which would deliver around 100 cubic meter per day on the market of plywood. So we are adding something that wasn't existing before, so creating value chain in the wood sector, so which is like kind of an industrial partnership. Then second, I could mention the partnership, if I could say, that we have with Admaeus Capital Partners, so on developing the private equity industry in Rwanda, because as of now, before that, I would say, we didn't have yet a significant private equity fund in Rwanda, and we started it with Qatar Investment Authority, and then we had public investment corporation, so South African pension fund that joined us as well. So we are very proud as well to anchor such kind of opportunities, because it gives a signal, I would say, to other private equity investors to show that to show that we have a financial center, so KFC, but one that is working, that is operational, and where we have examples, references that we can talk about. And another one would be that as well, we anchored the first venture capital fund in Rwanda, whose name is Catapult, which is investing as well in a Pan-African manner, which is a partnership with a Norfund, so the Norwegian Sovereign Wealth Fund, where as well we are trying to support the development of the startup ecosystem in Rwanda. So we try to be hands-on to make sure that, again, with the funds that we deploy, we make the most out of it. So it's a lot of work, but somehow it's working.
It really is working. And the examples that you've given, for example, Catapult and Admaeus, RSSB has made the largest contributions in terms of alternative capital to PEs and VCs. So they're a great partner and anchor investor in Rwanda. Now moving on to you, Saad, who leads Enco's capital operations across multiple financial hubs, including, you've mentioned Mauritius, London, Kigali now, and other Abidjan and other cities as well. What strategic factors made Rwanda an attractive jurisdiction for your operations, and how does the regulatory environment specifically compare to other cities that you're in Africa and financial centers? Yeah,
fantastic. And I will kind of take the lead from the Honorable Ambassador, because I think one of the key aspects for us being operating or trying to execute transactions in Rwanda since about 2014, that was the first transaction I did in Rwanda. The first thing that kind of jumps to you is the amount of clear regulation and transparency that you have across the system. So kudos to the governance elements within the government, but also across the various silos, including RSSB and what we've interacted with Jean-Marie and yourself at Rwanda Finance. It's been phenomenal. So I think when an investor is trying to figure out which other jurisdiction they want to expand into and open up their capital base, they need governance as a basic pillar. And I think that is very profound in Rwanda, and we really kind of are very encouraged by it. The second element is the willingness to take feedback and the agility that various elements of the Rwandan community and systems or the ecosystem absorbs and delivers. And that was one thing that we could very easily kind of see, that, I mean, not without kind of dissing any of the other jurisdictions, they're very kind of firm in their ways, right? Whereas Rwanda, as it's evolving, is building up these ecosystems, and one of the most robust regulatory environments, right? So we heard people talk about how Rwanda is really building with the building blocks, and those building blocks are very sound. So we saw those as very compelling opportunities. In addition to that, we saw that the ecosystem is very ripe for development growth. Like Philippe mentioned, RSSB is very active. We saw that in the Rwanda Development Bank, BRD, who I engaged with in 2014 when I was looking at transactions. RDB has been very open to encouraging investors, making it simple for investors to navigate, opening up the doors, helping interaction between business owners and capital. So we felt very comfortable. So while we incorporated very recently, we got our investment management license last year, and kind of like what was mentioned, it's an honor to be there. But now it's about building beyond that. So we're trying to set up our first SME fund in collaboration with RSSB, in collaboration with Agaciro. We're also bringing in private credit practices. While private equity plays a role, I think it spans across capital asset classes. And as Philip's mentioned, credit is a big role that it plays, and it needs to be there to balance. So one of the things that we've identified as gaps in, for example, Nigeria, it's very lopsided. Governance comes after issues are identified. It's not proactive. It's not taking on or receiving feedback. And it's very slow in even modulating that feedback when it receives it. It's very easy to do that in Rwanda. So those are the factors, and you have also very good access to people, right? I can go and knock on Philippe's door and he'll open that door, right? So it's not very, it's not that common elsewhere.
Yes.
It happened.
It did happen. So I think those were the factors that have really encouraged us. And while we've just taken one step in Rwanda right now, we've got one full-time resource. We're bringing in 2 more. We're currently sitting in the Norskin office, but we're planning to get our own office soon. So step by step. But by the end of this year, you start seeing funds coming out of our investment management license. So kudos to Jean-Marie, yourself, Lizzie. Rwanda Finance has been phenomenal. CMA has been really positive. I think it says 30 days on the tin. It takes a bit longer, but please be mindful that every regulation takes time, right? So given that we got our license in 3 to 4 months, it's phenomenal. Yeah. This was the 4th license that I was getting in Mauritius. But hopefully, Mauritian people won't kill me, but it still took me 7 months, right? So that just gives you a sense of the first time in Rwanda took me 3.5, 4 months, and being 4th in Mauritius, it took longer. But I'm really confident by what you guys are doing and really looking forward to it.
Thank you so much, Sad. And thank you for highlighting the governance, the progressive regulatory environment, which is why so many firms are choosing to base themselves in Kigali. Now on to you, Victor, as an international fund administrator and TCSP. Your company plays a pivotal role in assisting international investors, yeah? Can you tell us what led you, similar question to Sad, what led you to expand your presence into Rwanda, because I know you're also in different countries as well, and the specific services that you offer. I want to now bridge the gap to the networking session so that people can know exactly what to approach you for.
Okay, thank you for this question. First, I just want to point out that DTOS is the aim of DTOS to become the leading TCSP service provider for all investors into Africa. So all new IFCs on the continent is obviously on our radar, and we monitor the development of each of them. We chose Rwanda over a year ago because we firmly believe in their vision to become a gateway for investment into Africa. I want to point out that it's not a vision anymore because it's becoming a reality more and more every day. We have Anchor Capital is there now, we have Admire, so there's more and more partners, different investors coming in, so it's becoming more and more a reality. We chose Rwanda as well because KAFC learned a lot and studied from other jurisdictions, mature jurisdictions such as Luxembourg, Mauritius, and took all the good part to create laws and regulation and ecosystem which is very strong. There's also the macroeconomics as well. I think we have like 7 or 8% GDP growth over the last 10 years. 9.8 GDP growth over the last couple of years. We have political stability. So all of that create a nice environment to work with and in as well. And it just gives us insurance for those international investors as well. In terms of services, we do offer a normal type of services. Actually, we specialize because we're a trust and corporate service provider, and as well, we are the only one, as of date, fund administrator in Rwanda, a license which obtained from CMA, the Capital Market Authority, because before we came, there was only one license available, which is fund operator, which combine both fund management and fund administration. And us in Mauritius, we are expert in fund administration. So it was a couple of discussions with CMA, and they finally got us a license to do only fund administration. So we are the only fund administration so far in Kigali. So that was a progressive feedback, and I just want to point out that all regulatory body, be it CMA or BNR, they have all been very flexible in hosting us. So in terms of services, it's just basic trust and corporate service provider. So we do, of course, the setting up of your investment vehicle, all the licensing application, be it from BNR or CMA, registered agent, registered address. We have to provide one resident director as well as per law and regulation, day-to-day management of the entity itself, accounting, and EV calculation if it's a fund, and tax filing as well. Yes.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Victor. I think, as you've said, DTOS really is a great partner if you're looking at investing on the continent, to help you navigate both the Rwandan and the broader African continent in terms of investments. So it's really a pleasure to have you in Rwanda.
Thank you.
On to you, Hannah. Admire's Capital, with the Virunga Fund 1, is now fully operational in Kigali, as you've mentioned. What are your future plans for expanding your investments across the African market? And how do you see Rwanda playing a role in this broader strategy?
Sure. Well, just a very quick step back to where we are. So we have been operational since 2021. And over the last 3 years, we've closed 7 deals on the continent. And these have had quite a wide geographical spread. We've got three in SA, 1 in Senegal, 1 in Tunisia, 1 in Egypt, and then one in Rwanda as well. And I think, our plan going forward is quite a simple one in a way. We want to keep building on that momentum. And what the past 3 years has given us is some really great ingredients for how we can keep that momentum going. And I think there are 3 core ones here. One is our core sector, our core sectors. At Admaris, we seek to invest in high impact sectors that drive social and economic progress across the continent. And we continue to see incredible growth opportunities across multiple industries, but there are 5 core ones that we focus on. And they are FMCG, education, healthcare, financial services, and then digital infrastructure. The growth across these 5 is driven by some really compelling macro and wider demographic points. But crucially as well, they feed into the sector expertise that we've been able to build up in our deal teams, and they have very strong relevance to the countries that we're in, including Rwanda. And I guess that really is the second point, and that is the focus that we have on our geographies. We have investment teams who are on the ground in now Morocco, Tunisia, in Egypt, in Kenya, in South Africa, and then of course in Rwanda as well. And we really believe in the power of local investing. And we look outside of those geographies, of course, but I don't think it's a coincidence that of the 7 deals that we've done, 6 are in those markets. And if you look at Rwanda in particular, just as one example, as we've discussed today, it's one of Africa's fastest growing economies. You've got positive demographics, you've got great externalities, you have such supportive institutions. When you ally all of that with a strong on-the-ground team who are able to have those kind of localized conversations, it gives you really fertile ground to work with. And then just finally, we are now with the Virunga Africa Fund 1, we are 80% invested. So a big part of our plan going forward is to make sure that we get that last bit invested really well, that we continue our value creation plans, and that we are able to exit with a flourish.
Good, and you're going to flourish. Thank you so much, Hannah. Thank you for those success stories, basically of the continent's potential being realized, and with Rwanda acting as a facilitator for that. I'm going to go back to you, Philippe. My last question for you, because again, I want to leave that time for networking. As I've already said, RSSB is one of the largest institutional investors in the Rwandan market. And with Rwanda positioning itself as an African financial hub, how is RSSB ensuring that its local and regional investments remain globally competitive, with the progression of the financial center? And are there opportunities for international investors to co-invest or partner with RSSB on high-impact projects across Africa?
Thanks a lot, Liz. I think on our end, as I was saying, you have to see Rwanda, I would say, as a country that is positioned as a hub. So we are a hub on financial services, want to be a hub on medical hub, tourism hub, etc. So Rwanda is a platform that opens you opportunities as well to potentially, I would say, bigger markets that are surrounding Rwanda. And this is why as well we have this concept as well of being actually a proof of concept country where you can test an idea in Rwanda and then looking for expansion. So we have many companies that did that successfully. So the most famous example is Zipline, which is a drone company from the USA that started actually working on their drones that are totally automated in the Rwanda airspace, which they were able to train, I would say, their prototypes in Rwanda. And now they are back to the US. They have sealed some deals with Walmart, notably, and willing to Uberized, if I could say, Uber Eats, so which is kind of funny. But a big competitor on the food delivery, like in urban areas in the US market mostly. So just to say that us as RSSB, which role we want to play in it is to make those deals happen in Rwanda, to support international investors willing to come and play our role of catalyst. So if you have identified an opportunity in Rwanda, we're happy to co-invest with you and to make it work together. So as I said, the example of Arise, IIP, which we are co-investing, is totally in that mindset to give comfort to international investors that there is a buy-in, if I could say, of local investors, so that we can as well play our role into the value creation of the joint entity. Yeah, so this is mostly what I would say on that.
Thank you so much, Philippe. I'll move on to you, Saad. You mentioned earlier the factors that led to basically selecting to expand in the Rwandan market. Can you expand on the types of investments you're targeting in Rwanda and the region, and how the growing global focus on sustainable investments, particularly ESG, is influencing those decisions?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And a very important question, because it comes to the synthesis of what we try to do in our investments. So let me kind of take you to some of the investments we've already made in Rwanda. There was a mattress manufacturer based just out of Busegera that we invested in. And they were supplying mattresses, and these are foam mattresses, to schools and hospitals. And we provided them growth capital for CapEx. We provide them with working capital to grow. And they were acquired by a Chinese player that wanted to consolidate the bottom of the pyramid in terms of manufacturing mattresses. But when we did our investment, we were very fundamental in not only making sure that governance, the social aspects and the environmental aspects are taken into consideration, so all our ESG practices, but also the impact. Are the livelihoods of the employees positively impacted? What about women empowerment? What about women in jobs? So we created an ENS policy with the entrepreneur. Now this is an SME, as SME as it gets, maybe about $6-7 million of revenue. And we built out their whole ESG kind of plans, how to hire women, how to incorporate them, what to do in terms of, kind of their parental leave, etc. Now, go across the spectrum, so that was one of the smaller SMEs, go to the larger businesses that we've looked at and seen to invest, is a large trucking business in Rwanda that does limestone from Tanzania, coal, limestone and a bit of coal, yes, to process cement. And then this is for the largest transporter for Cemex, now no longer Cemex, but that's what they did. So the idea is, now their trucks were, some of them were Chinese, some of them were German, but heavily polluting. So we try to bring in practices where you can reduce that. And whether you do, and this is about the smart agenda that Rwanda has, right? So how do you bring down the climate footprint? So we worked on the trucks and we worked with Shell to try to figure out how we can reduce that, the emissions. And some of the solutions are hydrogen and so on and so forth. But the moment you kind of go into a cement factory, that becomes a little bit of a problem due to the amount of pollutants in the environment anyway. So we built out that whole strategy for them as we were looking to invest. The idea for us, and one of the core principles of investing, but also specifically in Rwanda, is we want to help grow the business. We looked at Maui Grains, for example, that recently listed a bond on the with the CMA. Our aim is to provide capital that is flexible, but meets the obligations of businesses, right? So you can take in the equity without, kind of, again, dissing anybody, but you have to, unless it's targeted, it becomes a problem for businesses. So we work with the businesses to target where the capital will go and be most effective. So that's something that we've done very well and help businesses grow. We'll continue to do that. But the receptiveness of businesses to absorb the guidance around ENS principles, the action plans, follow through on action plans, follow through on governance and the accountability of accounts is phenomenal. And we don't see that level of dedication in businesses outside of Rwanda. So one of the things that Philippe and the other panelists have also mentioned is the growth potential that Rwanda is providing, not by being the small country it is, but being the hub in the region. And I think that's a fundamental opportunity. The cement player that I talked about, the reason that it was able to grow was because the demand for cement first, the demand in Rwanda is outstripping supply. So they import, right? But even then, there's demand coming out of Tanzania, there's demand coming out of Uganda, and they can service that demand because the borders are so near. So what that does is builds dollar revenues as well. That is mitigating Forex and including Rwanda in the global space of dollar acquisition. Now, I don't think we have time for the macro, but if you look at how tight spreads are on the Eurobonds, I think we were talking about Eurobonds earlier as well, the spreads are very tight. And that means every investor globally is looking at Rwanda and saying, yeah, I'll take that risk and I'll pay very little over the risk premium that I have to pay for US risk. And that's a great vote of confidence. So you build on that. You make sure that you're not letting that go. We saw the spreads on Rwanda bonds go from 6 to 9% when across the board you had yields really going up, and you know this better than I do. But you can actually leverage on that. You can get high yields for someone like RSSB. That was a great opportunity, but it becomes a challenge for Rwanda as a country to borrow. But if you keep that tight, right? You keep that very confined and within very strong ranges, you'll continue to raise that capital for development, but also to finance SMEs. And that's where we come in. We're all about mid-market SMEs. We want to see businesses in Rwanda expanding regionally, and that's where we come in. I mean, you've spoken about Arise. Funny you say that, because we've been talking to them for Rwanda, because we think that project is very, very interesting. So going with global players who now want to come in Rwanda is a key theme for us. You're not currently in Rwanda? How do we get you to Rwanda? Because that's a gateway to the region. So that's how we'll play. One other aspect, if I may quickly, is impact as well. How are we creating impact through job creation, through women empowerment, through climate agenda, but also through responsible policies within corporates to support employment, right? You don't want a situation where people say, employees aren't paying adequately. So while there's very strong regulation, while there's very good controls, we support that from a private sector perspective. So it's impact as well while we're creating commercial returns.
I love that. Thank you for highlighting the forward thinking investments that Enco is making, but also where Rwanda stands as a jurisdiction and its DNA, really. Over to you, Victor, because I want to quickly wrap up this panel so we can move on to the networking. So you've touched on the services that DITOS offers in our prior question. In areas like human capital, where the Rwanda jurisdiction is still growing, because again, Rome was not built in a day. How does DITOS plan to remain competitive and continue delivering world-class services to investors interested in Rwanda, but also to the broader continent?
Thank you for that question. It's true, KFC is around 5 years old, so it's a new jurisdiction. And one of the issues we face is to find trained professionals. As the first fund administrator, it was difficult to find someone or some professional with fund administration experience. We only knew another group that was doing fund administration, and that is RSSB. So we had two options: either we train someone, or either we try to take someone from RSSB. So we went with to train someone. I don't want to make an enemy of Philip. So yeah, finding human capital is an issue. But it's something that, with the help of Rwanda Finance, we're trying to reduce that knowledge gap. Actually, in August, we had a few professionals from Mauritius to come and deliver some training in Kigali on, for example, international taxation practices. We are planning to do another session in November on demystifying AML and CFT, so for compliance. We're also working on an exchange program to bring some young professional from Rwanda to our office in Mauritius. So we are aware that there is a knowledge gap, and we are trying everything we can to remedy that. We're not just going to sit by and just wait for people to gain that knowledge. We actually want to work together with those institutions, be it CMA, Rwanda Finance, or BNR, just to bridge that knowledge gap as fast as possible. So we're just finding solutions to that problem.
Yeah, it's always about finding the right solutions, and I'm glad that ITOS is playing that role. But also with the financial center, we have different initiatives of basically, let's call it exchange programs between Rwandan professionals and the Mauritian jurisdiction with different firms. We're now setting the same thing up for the financial professionals in the Rwandan jurisdiction going to the Jersey jurisdiction. So we have those partnerships in arrangement. But like I said, nothing gets built in a day. It's a matter of continuously and incrementally increasing that. Now, on to you finally, Hannah.
I'm sensing you want me to keep it brief, so I will.
Good. So I maybe wanted to just get a little bit more on the sectors that you're most excited about in Rwanda. You've done several deals now, one in Rwanda and in other countries as well. What you're excited about in Rwanda, in the region as well, and share a bit more on those success stories that you've had so far, and what you're looking forward to.
Of course. Well, I hope I can say that we have 7 potential success stories, but I will keep it to 2 in the interest of time. I think sector-wise, I outlined before that we have 5 core sectors, so consumer goods, healthcare, education, financial services, and digital infrastructure. And one of the key success stories that I think we are going to be seeing is in that last bracket, which is Trez Infrastructure, which is our deal in Rwanda. So Trez is a Rwandan towers company. We closed our investment in April this year, and it's obviously still early days, but we have already been able to quadruple the number of towers, substantively increase profitability. So, in essence, we're super excited about how the next couple of years will look with this investment. And the potential that we were able to see in Trez is directly correlated as well to the plans that Rwanda has for growth in its geographical coverage, in rolling out 4G and 5G, and that's all then underpinned by the huge potential that is sitting in the market anyway from a growth and demographic perspective. So I think ultimately the Trez investment is a really great example of why we see growth potential in digital infrastructure, but also why we see such growth potential in Rwanda. Because this is a business that is going to be helping to revolutionize connectivity in parts of the country that perhaps haven't even seen it before. So the growth that we are hoping for is underpinned by some hopefully unalterable trends. You're going to see population growth, and we're also going to see increased demand for the services that the company provides. So those two together will be a very powerful combination, I think. And if I got time for one more success story.
Yes.
And if anyone wants to know about the other 5, my colleagues are here. So at the same time that we invested in Trez, we also acquired 100% of St. Christopher, which is a medical school in Senegal. It's also very early days for this deal, but we've seen really encouraging response to our early value creation plans. A key part of that was a program of digital transformation, which I think has been particularly impactful. And then more broadly, this is another investment that speaks to a really important need on the continent. The school is training around 2,500 doctors and pharmacists and dentists as well. I always forget dentists in the region. It's a critically underserved region, and I think you've got the same point, right? Your demographics are growing, and your need is going to be growing even faster. So another very powerful combination, I think.
All right. Thank you so much, Hannah, for sharing those success stories. I think it's clear that the opportunities are vast for those that are willing to explore. And maybe as a final question for everyone, really just share one final thought. What would you say to someone who's considering investing in Rwanda at the moment, or as an investment destination or gateway for investments?
Okay.
Just one word.
Hannah.
I think we've put you too much on the spot, so we'll start with Hannah.
Well, let me
One
keep
word
it very
or
brief.
one
I think
sentence.
do it, and I think do it now. This is the right time.
It's a strategically good location, jurisdiction, with the ambition and the means to achieve it.
Good.
Wow, they're succinct. Yeah, I mean, I would kind of mirror what Hannah said, do it, because if you don't, you lose out on the region. If you want to be in this region and you're not in Rwanda, there's several opportunities that will remain untapped into your portfolios. Well, that's what we've done. That's what one of the core tenets of what we've done with our local strategy is. There's local capital available that is very keen to get deployed. And we're supporting that. So yeah, now's the time.
Thank you.
No, and I would say that it's a country with a high potential growth. And as RSSB, we are happy to partner with you to make that growth happen.
Lovely. Thank you so much to our panelists.
Thank you.
I think we're just going to do closing remarks, and then if you want to speak to any of the panelists, they'll be in the room. We also have some Rwanda-based companies, Chloe, delegates, that you could speak to, some law firms. I think we'll point them out that you can network with. Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you, Liz. Another round of applause, please. Thank you very much for your contribution. It's clear that Rwanda is not only growing, but is also becoming a financial hub on the continent. So, yeah, as they've mentioned, the conducive environment that we have, also as we are improving human capital, and we are maintaining a world-class regulatory standard that is truly setting the stage for sustainable growth. We are now going to transition to a networking session. I will invite you to interact with the panelists. You've heard that RSSB is open for collaboration. If you are raising funds, if you want to invest in Rwanda, or also even outside of Rwanda, they are very, Philip Door is always open. And we also have details that can help you in setting up the company. So if you have any question around the costs and how long it takes, the process, he's the right person, as well as we have a law firm here as well, Lidekerk. Chloe can also assist you in that aspect. Yeah, Enco Capital admires always also looking for co-investment opportunities. So I invite you to interact and have a follow-up question. We are also here if you need any further clarification, as well as our High Commissioner is also here. If you need any assistance or any thoughts, he will also be happy to assist you. So in closing, I just want to thank you all, starting by our High Commissioner. Thank you very much for honoring our invitation. Thank you very much to our panelists for sharing your insight, and for you to attending this session. Thank you very much. Enjoy your networking session. Thank you.